Are you ever stumped by those big 6-mark biology questions? Well, you're in the right place. In this explainer, we are going to crack open an official AQA exam question all about pollution, and I'm going to show you exactly what the examiners are looking for.
We're going to pull back the curtain on the official mark scheme itself. This is your inside look, the secret formula, if you will, to scoring full marks. Okay, so the question we're tackling today is question 4 from the June 2022 higher tier paper. And as you can see, it's all about the environmental impact of waste.
So you can see it's broken down into 3 parts. First, a quick 1-marker on air pollution, then a 3-marker on water pollution, and then the big one, that 6-marker that asks you to really describe the harm these things can cause. First things first, let's tackle those quick win questions at the start. You'll see that the mark scheme gives you a surprising amount of choice for the right answer.
So first up is the 1 marker on air pollution. Remember, you only need to give 1 correct answer here, but let's take a look at all the possibilities. And look at that. You've got everything from greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and methane to acidic gases like sulfur dioxide. Even things like smoke or soot count. This just goes to show having a few key pollutants memorized for both air and water is a really solid exam strategy. Okay, let's switch gears to water pollution. This one's for 3 marks, so you've got to name 3 different harmful substances. And again, look at this list. The mark scheme gives you a huge range of acceptable answers. You could go with agricultural stuff like fertilizer or industrial pollutants like toxic chemicals. A little pro tip here. Notice how specific examples like herbicide or fungicide get the mark? That kind of detail is great to have in your back pocket. Okay, so we've banked those easy marks. Now, let's get into the main event, the 6-mark challenge. This is where we have to go beyond just listing things and start building proper detailed explanations. Now, the most important word in this entire question is describe. That's a huge clue. It's not enough to just list facts. You have to explain the process. You've got to connect the dots for the examiner and show them how the harm happens. Exactly. You need to think of it like a chain of events or a line of dominoes. For top marks, you have to clearly show the cause and then the effect. Let's dig into what the official indicative content from the mark scheme says about this. So let's start with air pollution. We're going to look at these chain reactions, and these are taken straight from the mark scheme. Okay, so take greenhouse gases, like CO2. The first domino is that they trap heat. That leads to the next one, global warming. That in turn causes things like floods or melting ice caps. And the final link in the chain, loss of habitat for living organisms. See? It's a perfect story from start to finish. Now for acidic gases, like sulfur dioxide, what's really cool here is that the mark scheme actually gives you options. You can either talk about the damage to plants, how it hurts their leaves and stops photosynthesis, or you could go down the other route and explain how it damages animals' lungs, causing things like asthma. Both are perfectly valid ways to get the marks. And it's the exact same deal for particulates, soot. You can pick your path. Either you explain how it hurts plants by covering their leaves and blocking sunlight, or you talk about how it gets inhaled by animals and damages their lungs. Just pick one of those chains and explain it clearly. All right, that's air pollution sorted. Now let's apply that exact same cause and effect thinking to the water pollutants we talked about earlier. Let's kick off with sewage. So, when sewage gets into the water, bacteria basically have a feast, and they multiply like crazy. But while they're respiring, they use up all the dissolved oxygen in the water. And the result? Aquatic animals like fish can't respire. They literally suffocate and die. It's a very specific chain of events, and it's exactly what examiners are looking for. Okay, now for fertilizer. This one's a classic example, and it has a name you might know: eutrophication. Here's how it works. Fertilizer runs off from fields into a river or lake. This causes a massive, rapid growth of algae, an algal bloom. This layer of algae on the surface blocks sunlight, so the plants underneath die. Then, bacteria move in to decompose all those dead plants. And guess what? They use up all the oxygen. Just like with sewage, the fish and other animals die. If you can explain this full chain, you are golden. And finally, we have toxic chemicals. And again, you've got 2 main routes you can take. You can talk about the direct damage they do, how they harm the cells of organisms straight away, or you could explain a more complex idea called bioaccumulation. That's where a toxin builds up inside one organism and then gets more and more concentrated as it moves up the food chain. Both are fantastic points to make to show you really know your stuff. So when you boil it all down, what have we really learned? Well, whether we're talking about the air or the water, pollution isn't just one single bad thing. It's a domino effect. It's a chain reaction that can damage entire ecosystems. Understanding these chains, well, that's the secret to absolutely smashing this type of question.
So take a second and think about it. Right now, which of these pollution chains do you feel most confident explaining? The big takeaway here isn't just about memorizing a ton of facts. It's about understanding that examiners want a logical story. They want the why and the how. Once you get that, you can turn any mark scheme into your own personal study guide and walk into that exam feeling totally prepared.